Hi, and welcome to the Law Center Videocast. I am your host and founder of the Law Center, Larry DeMarco. Thanks for joining us this evening. We go live on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, so please join us in the chat room on the right, where we can answer your questions and interact during the video. I have a special guest this evening. I want to introduce to you Jeff Steiner. Jeff is the executive director of the Dad's Resource Center, based in State College, Pennsylvania, which provides education, resources, and advocacy for single fathers. I met Jeff a couple years ago because we are both in a group called the Campaign for the Strong Families Commission, and we are pushing a campaign in Pennsylvania for greater father family involvement, and Jeff is playing an essential role in that campaign. And he's also a member of the Pennsylvania Child Welfare Council. He's a member of the Pennsylvania Office of Child Support Enforcement Parental Advisory Board. And also he is a member of the Center County Domestic and Sexual Violence Task Force. Jeff, thank you for being a guest on the Law Center Videocast.
Good morning, but good evening when you broadcast it, Larry.
That's right.
Thanks for the opportunity.
So Jeff, tell me, why are you passionate about the work that you do for fathers and families?
Well, my first career coming out of college, I did direct service as a family counselor. I worked in group homes with adjudicated youth for several years before doing family preservation work for 10 years, working with families that had children at the risk of being placed outside of their home. Now, that was my first career. I transitioned into working with nonprofits that benefit children and families, and resulting in being hired to be the executive director of the Dad's Resource Center in 2017. Now, on a personal level, that was kind of like the culmination for me, my work career, but also my personal life. I was born to a single mother, and to this day, I couldn't tell you who my father is. That's impacted my life significantly. You know, I had some resiliency and skills and characteristics that I've been able to be reasonably successful in life, but things were harder. And I learned a lot of lessons the difficult and embarrassing way in my life because I didn't have a father to teach and show me things. And I got married later in life. I had children later in life. It took me later to kind of really get rolling. So I know the impact that not having a father can have on your life, even if you have benefits and personal traits that can help you. But if you're someone who's coming from a bad socioeconomic situation, or you have some inclinations or things about you, not having a father is like an amplifier. And things just turn out worse for you if you don't have that presence in your life. So it's a natural fit. And it's obviously something I feel strongly about. I feel fortunate and grateful to be able to have the opportunity to do this kind of work.
Jeff, in your work for the Dad's Resource Center, you wrote me an article, and I apologize for going off script here, but I turned that into a video, and it's statistics about the role or the importance of father-family involvement. And I'd like to show that right now for our viewers. Can I have your permission to do that?
Absolutely, Larry.
Thanks. Let's watch.
The Dad's Resource Center recently completed an analysis of the most recent data available from the National Longitudinal Survey of Youth 1997, which looked at outcomes for the children from households with both biological parents compared to those without a biological father in the household. Participants in the survey are now ages 36 to 41 and have completed their early adult years. In every metric that was analyzed, children raised in a home without their father have struggled in life much more than those who were raised in homes with both parents. This was true regardless of race or gender. For instance, participants who grew up without their fathers in their home were 11% more likely to have smoked, 13% more likely to need mental health treatment, 20% more likely to have used hard drugs, 33 1/3 more likely to have had intercourse before the age of 17, and 71% more likely to have been convicted of a crime. they were less engaged as citizens, 11% less likely to volunteer their time to the community, 13% less likely to donate to a charity, and 26% less likely to vote. They struggled to be more successful in life. They were 7% less likely to graduate from high school, 43% less likely to have graduated from college, 94% more likely to have used governmental programs such as WIC, SNAP, and workers' compensation, and made 26% less annually in salary and wages. These statistics demonstrate that the courts, government, and social agencies have an obligation to ensure that dads are allowed to provide the time, emotional, and financial support that their children require and deserve. Written by the Dad's Resource Center and produced by the Law Center. Click the links in the description portion of this video to learn more about them.
Jeff, thanks for sending me that script. Now, did you write that? Did you write that with Joel or Joel? I know that came from the Dad's Resource Center.
Sure. Yeah, we work collaboratively on a lot of different things. That though, however, I believe that I wrote that.
Very good. Thanks. What's one of my favorite videos discussing the importance of fathers. So tell us about the Dad's Resource Center and your work with that nonprofit.
So the Dad's Resource Center was founded by Dr. Joel Myers, who is the founder and CEO of AccuWeather, which is based up here in State College, Pennsylvania. That's the area that we live in. And Joel had gone through some things, and it took him a lot of time and resources to be able to get things squared away where it needed to be for his children, his son. When he got to that point, he knew most people don't have the capacity that he had to be able to really muscle through all the different biases and resistance that the system has for fathers in these types of situations. So he founded the Dad's Resource Center. He established it in 2015, and then brought me on board in 2017. And we've worked together to get the Dad's Resource Center where it is today.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Joel have a tragic loss of his father at some point in his life to suicide? I believe it's public, and I believe he spoke about it.
Yeah, absolutely. When he speaks and gives his stump speech, which is, we refine it and it gets better and better over time. But he closes by saying his personal experience as a father. I believe he has like 13 grandchildren, and how many children. And he at one point he had at least one child in his house with him for many decades. But he shares that his father had committed suicide, I believe, when he was 23 years old.
Sure.
And so he learned, or that's something also that has been formative for him and his importance, and how the extent to which he is a father, an active father in his children's lives, and what he does for his children, which I know personally in talking to him over time. That's plays a big role in him personally and what he's done as a father, then also part of what he's done with the Dad's Resource Center.
What do you specifically, and not just you, but the nonprofit as a whole, what do you do within the mission of helping dads? How do you help them?
So given my background, I provide mentoring, best practices, coaching for fathers who are going through these types of issues. Most of the time, it's custody situations where they get upside down, and they're ridiculous. There's no reason. Most of the fathers who come to us are good fathers, good people who want to be in the lives of their children. We're not dealing. There certainly are fathers who are malicious and are problematic in some way. They aren't the people who come to the Dad's Resource Center. We're getting fathers who are desperate, just heartbroken, tragically heartbroken from not being able to be in the lives of their children. And so there's a counseling component to it, but it's just trying to help them understand the systems better, the best way to approach situations. I help with them, depending on where they live, what county, be able to understand the process to apply for custody and some of the things that go along with that. I also work with some fathers who are involved with the children and youth system, positively and negatively. I've had children and youth workers come to me to help them with fathers, and we've had some really good outcomes when we've been on that side of the fence. But I've been on the other side of the fence where fathers are being cut out of the lives of their children by the children and youth system also. So there's that direct service component that we do here in Pennsylvania, primarily central Pennsylvania. But then we also do a lot of advocacy. We want to have a seat at the table and implement policy change, those kinds of things systematically, which can make a difference, a much greater impact if we can somehow be effective in that regard. So we participate in the statewide group that you had noted. I work on the Child Welfare Council, the advisory board which was just initiated. I'm one of the first members on the advisory board for the Office of Child Support Enforcement. So there are a lot of voices out there for mothers and for women, justifiably so, and they're needed. And you have to support what they're doing. But when you have so many voices in that regard and so few voices speaking on behalf of fathers, it gets drowned out. And there's a lean in the other direction. And so we need to have reputable and respected voices out there engaged in all of these systems to speak for fathers, to start to level the playing field a little bit.
Jeff, I understand that you and Joel, or the Dad's Resource Center, has a central role with our group, the Strong Families Commission. Again, just to go off script a little bit real quick, I'd like your permission to show the 3.5-minute video that I produced describing what we're doing with that. Can you sit tight for 3 minutes for this video?
Absolutely.
There's a crisis of father absence and father non-involvement in Pennsylvania and the United States. Too many children don't have the full parental support they need. 1 in 3 children are being raised without a father in the home. Research shows that father involvement is associated with better outcomes for children. Fathers can be role models, caretakers, providers, and advocates for their children. When a child has the involvement of both parents, the child's more likely to behave better, excel in school, and achieve emotional well-being. Fathers help protect children, help them develop resilience, and mitigate risks while becoming an adult. Systematic barriers can impede greater father-family involvement, including, but not limited to, the stigma associated with seeking or receiving behavioral health services, failure of homelessness prevention programs to prioritize families with children. Child support orders often overlook the obstacles to fathers engaging with families. Child protective services minimize or exclude father involvement and are often biased against fathers, and educational services fail to consider fathers as equal co-parents. Pennsylvania needs to end systematic barriers that impede fathers from connecting with their children and assist men in preparing for the legal, financial, and emotional responsibilities of fatherhood. What are the goals of the Pennsylvania Commission to promote greater father-family involvement? Raise the consciousness of all Pennsylvanians that fathers can make tremendous contributions to the well-being of children and families. Educate and urge each branch of Pennsylvania state government to adopt and institutionalize a father-inclusive posture toward men within families, and to support the active participation of fathers in Commonwealth child and family programming. Convince the Pennsylvania General Assembly to establish in statute a Pennsylvania Commission that promotes greater father-family involvement in the lives of children and families, and the removal of any state systematic impediments that work against greater father-child and family involvement. How will it work? The Commission will include all parts of the government. Members will be appointed by the Governor, Chief Justice of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, as well as the Senate and the House of Representatives. It'll propose changing laws and policies that impede the development of father-family involvement efforts, and will recommend enhancing those that succeed. It will evaluate programs and initiatives that impact fatherhood, make recommendations for improvements, and will also encourage early connections of fathers to their children and throughout the life of the child. The Commission will promote parenting skills designed for fathers, promote high-quality co-parenting relationships, and provide workforce programs and business opportunities to help fathers support their children. It will aid in the understanding evaluating and improving father contributions that support better outcomes for Pennsylvania's children and families. We need your support for creating a Pennsylvania Commission to promote greater father-family involvement across the Commonwealth, notwithstanding race, ethnicity, or economic status.
So, Jeff, the campaign for greater family father did I say that in right order? Campaign for greater father-family involvement.
Yeah.
What role has Joel taken? And basically, you're doing the heavy lifting. What are you guys doing with that? Your personal?
Sure. Well, Joel is the chair of the campaign. I call them the heavy hitters. Dr. Myers, Dr. Good, the former mayor of Philadelphia. He's one of the central figures. David Wire, who is a businessman. And then also Dr. Rufus Sylvester Lynch, who is the architect of this whole movement. So they're the heavy hitters. They're the big wigs. I am the central administrator and am more working with all the different people, the many passionate father advocates there are throughout the state who are part of this campaign, and organizing and working with them in some of the activities that we're participating in to bring awareness of the need for greater father-family involvement, to educate everyone involved with the system, legislators, policymakers, administrators, about the importance of father-family involvement. And then ultimately, our goal is to have a fatherhood commission established by statute within the General Assembly to promote father-family involvement.
I understand you and Joel published a pamphlet describing the economic impact of father absence. Can you discuss that a little bit?
Back in 2009, Dr. Benjamin Scafidi, as well as the National Father Institute, separately had done a cost analysis for the taxpayers based on what they attributed to father absence, the use of WIC, food stamps, all the different social support systems that are available. And at that time, they had come up with a number of what that would be, but it had been dated. And so we did an update in 2020 of that, early 2021, of the cost to taxpayers for father absence for the use of those different programs and those services. And it was approaching $300 billion. And we also, now it's a little more of a liberal number we're working from on it, but this is Joel. Joel is an entrepreneur and high-level businessman. And we took our study on the National Longitudinal Survey of Youth and the salary differences between children who grew up with fathers in their home versus children who grew up without their fathers in their home, and then relayed that to national statistics to come up with a cost of the lost wages due to father absence. And totaling all of that together with the cost for these other services, Joel, a rough estimate, writing it down on a napkin at a restaurant, is about 3% of the annual GDP is lost in some way due to father absence.
In this work, the campaign for greater father-family involvement, what are some of your biggest challenges?
The interesting thing is everyone realizes that there's an issue here, right? That the systems disenfranchise father, or the systems don't involve fathers like they should. And so there's a recognition, and people, unsolicited, we get a lot of thank you for doing what you're doing. This is an issue. This is an issue. But when you're in what in essence is a social movement or a civil rights issue, and this is a civil rights issue. And it's important to note it's a civil rights issue relative to the fathers, but at the end of the day, the impact, the cost is children, right? They're the ones who are losing and are most negatively impacted by this process. But there's not a lot of motivation at the highest levels to actually do the things that are necessary to be able to start to really do something about this. And so that's the part that is most frustrating. People are like, it's an issue. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Oh, we'll let you be a part of this. We'll be a part of this. but you were not really going to do the things we need to do. And I'll give an example. As a part of the Child Welfare Council, I'm serving on the committee that analyzed data that looked at engagement with fathers through service providers in the state of Pennsylvania, and to come up with a better definition of engagement for working with clients. Now, one of the things that was highlighted coming into this process, they said the outcomes for engagement with fathers, out-of-state parents, non-custodial parents was really lower. It should have been better for everyone, but it was lowest for them, and that should be a point of emphasis. So while we were working on the definition, they had this really nice high-minded definition. This is what engagement is, 2 paragraphs. I'm like, okay, I support that. That's great. That's awesome. But we need to put a call to action in. We need to put that third sentence that says every effort should be made to fully engage with mothers and fathers or primary caregivers in their absence. And it didn't happen, right? I fought, but that didn't get put in. And I'm not going to get into kind of some of the things that were being thrown back and forth, but at the end of the day, it was like there's a status quo there, how people are looking and viewing at things, and that to bring fathers into it would bring in all these other ancillary things. And so that's when you get to the point of saying, okay, you let us at the table, we have a voice, but really, and that's a small thing. Like there are a lot bigger things we need to do. So taking that step to really start to do the things that are needed to change the dynamic, people are hesitant or even resistant to doing that.
So, Jeff, what would you say, what has been some of your biggest accomplishments with the Dad's Resource Center?
Well, there's really not anyone in the state of Pennsylvania or much in the whole country who are doing what we do, advocating for and doing things for single fathers who are not being allowed to be in the lives of their children. So just breaking ground with that and doing it in a way that we have a certain level of respect, and we've towed the line between speaking up and advocating and not being marginalized by pushing it too far, I guess is the best way of saying it. So working with Dr. Myers to be able to do that. And then it's the little victories. I definitely have some really incredible stories working with some of the fathers more directly. I'm in some difficult situations now where many fathers, I have a lot of heartache and heartburn for what they're going through. And so that actually is more of the focus. How much needs to be done in these individual situations and the heartbreak and pain that these fathers are going through. And then by extension, the children who are caught up in all of these situations and are the ones who are being hurt most by what is going on. So we've been successful in having the Dad's Resource Center. We're successful in being part of this statewide effort that we're a part of, and all the different people who are doing everything they can to have that be successful. But there's just so much more that needs to be done. It's hard to kind of look back and rest on any laurels or success stories that we've had, because there's so much more that we need to do.
Jeff, I've been following you on social media. You have a good online presence. Can you tell our viewers how we can follow you and learn more about what you're doing?
Well, the Dad's Resource Center website is dadsrc.org, so dadsrc.org. And of course, there you can link up with our Facebook, our Twitter, our YouTube, and our, I forget the name of the other one, but our social media sites. And just get active, follow us, and help fathers that you know. And this is one of the things that I say when fathers are in these situations. Even going to court makes a big difference. And I'll use that as an example. And I found this because I've been in a dozen different courts at this point, the county courts throughout the state, helping support fathers. And what I've recognized is if there's other people in that room, judges behave a little better. A lot of times a mother's going to have an attorney, and then maybe someone from, the Women's Center or other people, they're going to have people supporting them. But even if they're not, the judge is probably going to lean towards mothers because we all respect mothers and we're deferential to mothers. But if a father's got some people in that courtroom supporting them, there's a better chance that they're going to get a little better outcomes. Write letters for them, support them. One of the biggest things fathers have a hard time with, because we're do it on our own kind of people, reaching out for help or asking for help. If fathers are going through this, emphasize to them, reach out to the help that's out there and is available to them, but also write letters for them, advocate for them, do what you can to get involved with them, to support them. If you know they're a good father and you know their children would benefit by having them in their lives more, step up personally to help fathers who are going through these types of situations.
Jeff, thank you for that tip. And I want the viewers to know that in the description portion of the video, there's all Jeff's contact links and information, so you can find more information about him much easier. And Jeff, I want to thank you not only for being a guest on the Law Center Videocast, but also for all the work that you do helping fathers and campaigning for greater father-family involvement.
Well, thank you. But then also thank you, Larry, similarly, as a colleague in what we're doing at the state level, but also the Law Center and your vision on that. It's tough. It's tough getting something like that up going from the grassroots like you. But if you can continue to build it up, that's a resource that fathers need. So back at you. Thank you for what you're doing.
And send our best also to your sponsor, Joel Myers, and what he's doing for fatherhood. I'd hope to have you again as well, Jeff.
All right. Thank you, Larry.
We have been talking with Jeff Steiner of the Dad's Resource Center, and I'm your host, Larry DeMarco. We will continue to broadcast live on Tuesdays at 7, where you can interact with us while we all watch together in the chat room. So in addition, please watch the other informational legal videos on my channel, especially the self-help playlist for self-represented litigants in family court. Please like the videos, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you can catch all the new videos as soon as they're posted, and share them with your contact list and social media friends. Everyone, thanks for watching. Tune in next time. Bye for now.